Welcome to this week's video on ethical hacking. An ethical hacker, also known as a white hat hacker or penetration tester, is a cybersecurity expert who legally and systematically attempts to break into computer systems, networks, or applications. Their goal is to identify and fix security vulnerabilities before malicious hackers, often referred to as black hat hackers, can exploit them. The importance of ethical hacking is as follows. It provides a proactive defense, helps organizations identify and fix vulnerabilities before they can be exploited by malicious actors. Ensures regulatory compliance, ensures compliance with industry standards and regulations that require regular security assessments. Protecting data safeguards sensitive data and intellectual property from cyber threats. Building trust, enhances customer and stakeholder trust by demonstrating a commitment to security. Some tools used by ethical hackers include Nmap, a network scanning tool used to discover hosts and services on a computer network; Metasploit, a penetration testing framework that helps ethical hackers to develop and execute exploit code against a remote target; Wireshark, a network protocol analyzer that captures and interactively browses the traffic running on a computer network; John the Ripper, a password cracking tool that helps identify weak passwords; Burp Suite, an integrated platform for performing web application security testing. Key responsibilities for an ethical hacker are vulnerability assessment, conducting security audits. Ethical hackers perform thorough examinations of an organization's systems and infrastructure to identify security weaknesses. Scanning networks. They use specialized tools to scan networks and detect vulnerable points that could be exploited. Penetration testing, simulating attacks. They simulate cyber attacks on systems to test defenses. This includes exploiting known vulnerabilities and identifying new ones. Social engineering. Testing the human element of security by attempting to trick employees into revealing sensitive information. Continuous learning is crucial in the realm of ethical hacking. Cybersecurity, as we know, is an ever-evolving field. Ethical hackers must stay current with the latest security trends, tools, and threats. To keep up, many ethical hackers pursue certifications like CEH, which stands for Certified Ethical Hacker, OSCP or Offensive Security Certified Professional, and CISSP or Certified Information Systems Security Professional. The ethical hacking process consists of several critical steps. Ethical hacking, also known as penetration testing or white hat hacking, is a practice that involves testing a computer system, network, or web application to find security vulnerabilities that an attacker could exploit. The process is methodical and follows a structured approach to ensure that all potential security gaps are identified and addressed. Ethical hackers use the same tools, techniques, and processes as malicious hackers, but with the permission of the system owner and with the goal of improving security. The process is divided into several phases, each with its own specific objectives and methodologies. First, reconnaissance, which includes passive reconnaissance, where information is gathered without directly interacting with the target, using public resources, for example. This phase is crucial as it helps the ethical hacker understand the target's environment and identify potential entry points. Passive reconnaissance involves techniques such as searching for information on the internet, looking at social media profiles, and examining publicly available documents. The goal is to gather as much information as possible without alerting the target to the hacker's presence. This information can include domain names, IP addresses, email addresses, and other data that can be used in later stages of the hacking process. Then, there's active reconnaissance, which involves directly interacting with the target to gather data, such as scanning networks. This phase is more intrusive and carries a higher risk of detection, but it provides more detailed and accurate information. Active reconnaissance techniques include network scanning, port scanning, and vulnerability scanning. These techniques help the ethical hacker identify open ports, running services, and potential vulnerabilities that can be exploited. The information gathered during this phase is critical for planning the next steps of the hacking process. Next, we move to scanning and enumeration. Scanning is a systematic process of examining the target's network to identify live hosts, open ports, and running services. This phase involves the use of various tools and techniques to gather information about the target's network infrastructure. The goal is to create a detailed map of the network, which can be used to identify potential vulnerabilities and attack vectors. Scanning can be done using tools such as Nmap, Nessus, and OpenVAS. These tools provide detailed information about the target's network, including the operating systems, services, and applications running on each host. Scanning uses tools to identify open ports, services, and potential vulnerabilities. Port scanning is a technique used to identify open ports on a target system. Open ports can provide entry points for attackers, so it is important to identify and secure them. Service identification involves determining which services are running on the open ports. This information can be used to identify potential vulnerabilities and plan further attacks. Vulnerability scanning involves using automated tools to identify known vulnerabilities in the target systems and applications. These tools compare the target systems against a database of known vulnerabilities and provide a report of the findings. Enumeration involves extracting detailed information about systems and network resources. This phase is an extension of the scanning phase and involves gathering more detailed information about the target's network. Enumeration techniques include querying network services, examining network shares, and extracting information from network devices. The goal is to gather as much information as possible about the target's network infrastructure, including user accounts, group memberships, and network shares. This information can be used to identify potential attack vectors and plan further attacks. Following this, gaining access through exploitation, using vulnerabilities to gain unauthorized access to systems. This phase involves using the information gathered during the previous phases to exploit vulnerabilities and gain access to the target systems. Exploitation techniques can include buffer overflows, SQL injection, and cross-site scripting. The goal is to gain control of the target systems and obtain sensitive information. Once access is gained, the ethical hacker can move on to the next phase of the process. Maintaining access, or persistence, ensures continued access to the system by installing backdoors or other methods. This phase involves installing tools and techniques that allow the ethical hacker to maintain access to the target systems even if the initial vulnerability is patched. Persistence techniques can include installing backdoors, creating new user accounts, and modifying system configurations. The goal is to ensure that the ethical hacker can continue to access the target systems and gather information without being detected. The process also involves covering tracks by clearing logs to remove evidence of the attack and avoid detection. This phase involves removing or modifying log files and other evidence of the attack to avoid detection by the target's security team. Covering tracks techniques can include deleting log files, modifying timestamps, and using anti-forensic tools. The goal is to ensure that the ethical hacker's activities are not detected and that the target's security team is unaware of the attack. Finally, reporting and remediation include providing detailed reports and recommendations to close security gaps. This phase involves documenting the findings of the ethical hacking process and providing recommendations for improving the target's security posture. The report should include a detailed description of the vulnerabilities identified, the techniques used to exploit them, and the steps taken to cover tracks. The recommendations should include specific actions that the target can take to address the vulnerabilities and improve their security. The goal is to provide the target with a clear understanding of their security weaknesses and a roadmap for improving their security posture. The career path for ethical hackers often begins with a solid educational background, typically requiring a degree in computer science, information technology, or cybersecurity. Certifications such as CEH, OSCP, and CISSP can significantly enhance career prospects. Practical experience is also crucial and can be gained through internships, lab environments, or participating in Capture the Flag (CTF) competitions. Ethical hackers must adhere to strict legal and ethical guidelines. Authorization is critical. Always obtain explicit permission before testing systems. Non-disclosure is essential to maintain the confidentiality of any sensitive information discovered. Lastly, responsible disclosure is necessary to ensure that vulnerabilities are reported responsibly and addressed before they become public knowledge. In summary, ethical hackers play a crucial role in defending against cyber threats by identifying and mitigating vulnerabilities. Their work helps protect sensitive information, maintain trust, and ensure the integrity of information systems across various industries.